Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely.
Today we're getting into something, honestly, kind of mind-blowing. The power of your subconscious mind.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
We're going deep with excerpts from this book by Joseph Murphy. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Have you heard of it?
I have. It's a classic, right?
It really is. And it makes you think, how much do we actually control our thoughts, feelings, even our actions?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right. Murphy starts off with some pretty wild real-life stories.
Yeah.
The famous opera singer
Oh,
Caruso.
this was legendary.
Well, apparently he used to be super nervous, terrible stage fright.
Yeah.
But get this. He learned to deal with it by actually talking to his subconscious.
What, like having a conversation with himself?
Basically. He'd address the fear directly, almost like it was a separate thing.
That's so interesting. Did it work?
It did. He went on this huge career, and he credits a lot of it to tapping into that subconscious power. There's this other story in the book, too, kind of amazing, but also eerie. There's this man who wanted his daughter to be healed. She was very sick.
Oh, no.
He was so desperate, he even said he'd give his right arm for her to get better.
Oh.
And then, he ended up losing his arm in a car accident, but at the exact same time, his daughter suddenly recovered.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what to say to that. It makes you wonder about the connection between what we really want deep down and then what happens in our lives.
It's like our subconscious is this force that can influence not just how we feel, but maybe even events around us.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
So, okay, we keep saying subconscious. For someone who's never heard this before, what exactly is it compared to our conscious mind,
Good question.
I think of it like an iceberg, The conscious mind is just the tip, the part we see. It's what we use to think and make choices.
Makes sense.
But the subconscious, that's the massive part underwater. It's running everything behind the scenes, breathing, our heart beating, but also it holds all our memories, beliefs, everything.
Okay, I like that analogy. So if we're not aware of it most of the time, how do we even access this power?
Well, according to Murphy, the key is this thing called suggestion. It's like the language that the subconscious understands.
Suggestion. So are we talking like hypnosis here?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
There's what we tell ourselves, he calls that auto-suggestion.
Right.
And then there's heterosuggestion,
Right.
which is what other people tell us. And both can have a huge impact,
I see.
Think how many times you've repeated some negative thought over and over until you actually believe it was true.
Oh yeah, all the time. Like, I'll never get this project done, or I'm going to mess this up. It's like setting yourself up for failure.
That's exactly it. That's the negative side. But the positive side is things like positive self-talk, affirmations. Those are like auto-suggestion, but aimed at helping you succeed.
So it's not just wishing for things. It's about shaping our subconscious beliefs.
Yeah, it's active. Murphy even tells this story about healing a skin condition he had, all through prayer.
Really?
He believed that the same power that created our bodies could also heal them. And by praying with faith, he was actually using that power through his subconscious.
So he's saying our minds can actually affect our physical health.
Absolutely. Think about the placebo effect.
Yeah.
People get better just because they believe a medicine is working, even if it's fake.
That's incredible. So it's not just about feeling better, it's real changes in the body.
And it goes even deeper. Murphy compares it to how our body fights off food poisoning. It's like there's this built-in drive to keep us safe, healthy, and it's happening subconsciously.
Okay, so we've talked about healing, but can we use the subconscious for other stuff too? Like reaching our goals, being successful, all that?
You bet. Murphy calls the subconscious a blueprint builder. Whatever we focus on, believe in, our subconscious takes that and starts building it into reality.
So if I'm always thinking about getting a promotion, my subconscious will what? Start working on making that happen.
That's the idea. He gives this example of a kid in Australia who wanted to be a doctor, and he would picture it all the time. The doctor's coat, helping patients, everything. And guess what? He ended up becoming a successful doctor.
So it's not just dreaming big, it's holding that vision in your mind like it's already real.
Exactly. And this applies to everything, career, relationships, even money. Speaking of which, a lot of people struggle with finances.
Yeah, I've been there. What does Murphy say about attracting wealth?
He has a really interesting take. He says people who are always criticizing rich people or resenting them, they might actually be pushing wealth away from themselves subconsciously.
Wait, so by focusing on what I don't want, I'm actually bringing more of it into my life?
It's like you're telling your subconscious, money is bad, I don't deserve to be wealthy.
Yeah.
And your subconscious, it's like a faithful servant. It delivers exactly that.
Okay, so how do we flip that around? Program ourselves for abundance instead.
Murphy suggests things like visualization, picturing money flowing into your life, and affirmations, where you repeat positive statements about wealth.
So changing our mindset from scarcity to abundance, both consciously and subconsciously.
Right. And that change can have a ripple effect on everything else, too.
This is all fascinating, but it makes me wonder about the flip side, too. Like, when bad things happen, is that our subconscious programming, too?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely get into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore how the subconscious can sometimes create blocks and limitations that hold us back.
Okay, can't wait to hear more. This is already blowing my mind.
Mine too. We'll be back in a flash to dive deeper into this. Okay, so we're back and ready to keep unpacking this whole subconscious mind thing. Before we took a break, we were talking about how it can affect our health, our success, even money. But what about the negative stuff? Why do we sometimes self-sabotage or attract things we don't want?
Right, because if it's so powerful, why does it seem to work against us sometimes?
Well, Murphy addresses that in the book. He says a lot of those negative experiences, they come from subconscious programming that's not actually helpful to us anymore.
Programming.
Yeah.
So, there are these hidden beliefs we have running in the background, and they're affecting our thoughts and actions without us realizing it.
Exactly. It's like having a computer program, but it's full of bugs.
Yeah.
It's going to cause problems.
Okay, makes sense. But where do these negative programs even come from?
All sorts of places, really. Stuff from childhood, things people told us, even our own negative self-talk. Over time, these messages get stuck in our subconscious, and they start to shape our reality.
So it's not necessarily our fault we have them, but we can change them.
Exactly. That's the good news. Murphy gives a ton of techniques for identifying and reprogramming those beliefs. One of the most powerful is using affirmations.
Affirmations, you mean repeating positive statements?
Yep. It might sound simple, but it's actually a very direct way to talk to your subconscious. By repeating those positive affirmations, you're basically overwriting the old negative stuff.
Like brainwashing yourself, but in a good way.
Exactly. And it works on the same principle as visualization, which we talked about before. The more you focus on a thought, an image, the deeper it gets into your subconscious.
So if I keep telling myself I'm confident, my subconscious will eventually believe it, and I actually will become more confident.
That's the idea. The cool thing is, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what you imagine. So visualizing yourself succeeding, it's like tricking your subconscious into thinking it's already happened.
Wow, this is like a mind game.
It kind of is. But one you can learn to play to your advantage. Murphy also talks about figuring out the root cause of those negative beliefs.
So it's not just covering them up with positive stuff. We have to actually understand where they came from.
Exactly. It's like being a detective of your own mind. Sometimes you might even need professional help, like therapy, to really unpack that stuff.
Makes sense. You wouldn't fix a broken computer just by changing the wallpaper. You got to look at the code underneath.
Exactly. Once you know what those limiting beliefs are, you can start to challenge them, replace them with better ones. But there's something else that's important too. Murphy talks about aligning our actions with our beliefs.
So it's not just about thinking positive. We actually have to act in a way that supports those beliefs.
Right. Like if you believe you deserve abundance, but you're also afraid to take risks, that sends mixed signals to your subconscious.
It's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You're not going to get very far.
Perfect analogy. It's about making sure your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are all working together. That's when you see the real magic happen.
This is also empowering, but it also makes me wonder, how do we even know if we're on the right track? Is our subconscious actually aligned with what we consciously want?
That's a great question. Murphy says to pay attention to your intuition, that inner voice that kind of guides you.
So not just logic, but also our gut feelings.
Exactly. That voice speaks to us through feelings, hunches, even dreams. Murphy was a big believer in the power of dreams to tap into the subconscious.
Oh, interesting. So keeping a dream journal could help us understand what our subconscious is trying to tell us.
Definitely. He also talks about synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that happen.
Like you're thinking about someone and then they call you out of the blue.
Yep. Or you keep seeing the same number sequence over and over.
Wow, I've definitely experienced that. Like the universe is trying to tell us something.
Murphy believed that those synchronicities are often signs from our subconscious, little nudges to guide us.
This is mind-blowing. So we've got reprogramming our subconscious, recognizing its messages, aligning our actions. Anything else we need to know to really master this power?
Well, Murphy talks a lot about faith, not necessarily religious faith, but a deep belief in the unseen, the potential that's within us and all around us.
So trusting that there's something bigger at work, even if we don't understand it fully.
Exactly. It's about surrendering to something greater, knowing we're supported on this journey.
I like that. Takes the pressure off us to figure everything out on our own.
And it opens us up to receiving guidance from beyond our limited understanding.
This whole exploration of the subconscious mind has been incredible. It's amazing to think we all have this power inside us, just waiting to be unlocked.
I agree. And the best part is, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Murphy's book has so much more, and there are tons of resources out there for anyone who wants to dive deeper.
So where should someone start if they want to actually put this into practice?
Awareness is key, I think. Pay attention to your thoughts, your self-talk, how you react to things. Once you see those subconscious patterns, you can start to change them.
And maybe keep a dream journal. See what messages are coming through.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to try different techniques. See what works for you. This is a journey, not a destination.
You know, that inscription on Hermes' tomb keeps popping into my head. As within, so without. It's like the power to change our lives really is inside each of us.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the incredible world of the subconscious mind with us. Until next time, keep those minds open, those hearts curious, and keep diving deep. Okay, so we've talked about healing, wealth, even facing our fears. But there's one big area we haven't touched on much yet: relationships.
Ah, yes, relationships. The ultimate test, right?
For real. And Murphy actually connects this to the subconscious too, especially when it comes to forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Man, that's tough sometimes.
I know, but he says it's crucial not just to get along with others, but for our own inner peace. Like holding on to anger, resentment, it hurts us more than whoever we're mad at.
Yeah, it's like that saying, drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Exactly. And he takes it even further. He says that a lot of times the way people treat us is actually a reflection of their own subconscious stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Not to excuse bad behavior, but it might not be personal, you know?
So like that annoying coworker who's always micromanaging, maybe they're subconsciously acting out some old stuff from their childhood.
Could be. And instead of getting sucked into that, Murphy suggests sending them good vibes, like picturing them surrounded by love and light. Seriously.
That's a tough one. But I guess if we change our energy, maybe the dynamic shifts a bit.
Right. It's about taking back our power, not letting someone else's negativity control how we feel inside. Which brings us to another biggie: fear.
Oh yeah, fear can be so paralyzing.
Murphy gets that, but he says there's a difference between, like, normal fear that keeps us safe and then abnormal fear that holds us back in life.
Okay, so like being scared of a bear chasing you, that's normal. But fear of public speaking, maybe that's the abnormal kind?
Exactly. And to deal with that abnormal fear, he suggests some pretty bold moves, like facing it head on.
Wait, so if I'm scared of heights, I should just go bungee jump?
Not necessarily that extreme. But the idea is gradually expose yourself to what you're afraid of. Each time you do, the fear gets a little weaker because your subconscious learns it's not actually dangerous.
So we're kind of retraining our subconscious because it's working with outdated information.
That's it. And alongside facing it, he talks about replacing those scared thoughts with positive ones. So instead of, I'm going to mess this up, it's, I'm prepared, I can do this.
It's about choosing what we feed our subconscious, not letting the fear take over.
And remember visualization. That's huge here too. If you can mentally rehearse succeeding, it actually convinces your subconscious that it's possible.
So no matter what the challenge, whether it's healing, success, relationships, or fear, it all comes down to understanding the subconscious and then using these techniques to influence it.
You got it. And Murphy even applies this to aging. You know, he challenges that whole idea that getting older automatically means decline.
I like that. We hear so much about getting old being a bad thing.
Totally. But he points to people like Michelangelo, who is still creating amazing art in his 80s. His point is, what we believe about aging affects how we experience it.
So focus on the possibilities, not the limitations.
Right. Keep learning, stay passionate, have a purpose, all that keeps you young at heart, no matter your age.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. It's incredible to think we have this power inside us just waiting to be tapped into.
Absolutely. And this is really just scratching the surface. Murphy's book has so much more, and there are tons of other resources out there if you want to keep exploring.
So if someone wants to start putting all this into practice, what's the first step?
Awareness, I think. Just start paying attention to your thoughts, how you talk to yourself, your reactions to things. Once you see those subconscious patterns, you can start to change them.
And maybe keep that dream journal. See what comes up.
Definitely. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different techniques. Find what works for you. It's a journey.
I can't get over that inscription on Hermes' tomb. As within, so without. It's like a reminder that the power to change our lives really is within us.
I love that. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the incredible world of the subconscious mind with us. Keep those minds open, those hearts curious, and keep diving deep. We'll see you next time.